Hi, everybody. I'm April L. Moon, a top 10 Amazon bestselling author who writes steamy paranormal romance and a few other things under some side pen names. I'm known for my obsession with the business side of publishing and everything from ads to spreadsheets.
You know what? Before I introduce myself, I have to tell you, I made the most beautiful spreadsheet yesterday. And the whole time I was like, April's gonna love this. It's so pretty.
Well, I
Anyway,
can't wait to see it
I
now.
know that'll be like another episode, but I was very excited and I knew you'd be very proud of me.
I
So
am
I'm Jen
so proud.
LaSalle. Thank you. Jen LaSalle, also an Amazon bestselling author. I write empowering fantasy fiction for midlife women. I'm known for my planning superpowers and taking a compassionate view of the author industry. Together, we are bringing you business strategy, mindset, top industry guests.
And a whole lot of tough love. Welcome to
Yes.
the Tough Love Publishing Podcast.
Yay!
We wanted to take a minute before we start to give a shout out to our sponsors at Written Word Media, because a lot of times we've got enough on our plates just writing the book. They get it. You'd rather be elbow deep in your next draft than knee deep in marketing, even if I do kind of like marketing. That's where Written Word Media comes in. Their email promos and ad services can help you get your book in front of the right readers without you having to become a full-time marketer.
Yeah. Check them out at writtenwordmedia.com and get back to doing what you do best, even if it's marketing, writing your books and connecting with readers.
Thanks, guys.
Our inaugural episode. Are you excited?
I am so excited and not at all nervous.
We've been talking about this for months.
We have been talking about this and planning it for months, but I
Yeah.
think we should roll right into our vibe check and
Yes,
intro
ma'am.
and updates today.
Okay.
I'll get us started. Jen and I have been friends for what feels like forever, but has been at least 5 years.
At least, yeah.
I published my first book under a different pen name in 2020. And Jen, I believe you were even before me, right?
I published my first book in 2019. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that's what I thought. We've both been looking for a way to share our knowledge and help out and spread good information and energy in the publishing indie space, but nothing was feeling quite right. And
Right.
kind of by accident, we both went to a conference together. That part was on purpose.
Yes.
And at the conference, we kept, giving people advice, talking to people, making connections, whatever. And we were sitting at this round table, and someone was like, "You two should have a podcast." And we both just kind of looked at each other and we're like, "Really? Is that a thing we could do?" Yeah, turns
I'm
out it is.
trying to remember, is that the night that we talked until 2 a.m. and we kept going, we really should go to bed because
It
the
was.
conference is very early in the morning. And then we were like, this podcast idea is crazy, right? We're definitely not doing this. And then by like noon the next day, it was on.
Yeah, I had already made a logo when we were just like rolling with it.
That's what it was. I was trying to take a nap and you were like, hey, which logo do you like best? We're
Kids with
clearly really good
superpowers.
friends. And we also
Yes.
play off each other's strengths really well. I tend to be a really big picture kind of person. April's good at grabbing onto nuance and detail. So I find a lot of times when we talk about something, I will say something kind of broad stroke, and then you kind of float in with this nuance, and then we go down from there. The other thing I like is we don't always agree. Like we do things differently. We've had different experiences. We've had different levels of success, but we respect each other a lot and each other's opinions. And we also always have fun talking about this industry, which is frankly wild, like in the best ways.
It is a wild, constantly changing industry. And I think that's part of what makes it so fun. As someone with high competition and achiever on the
Uh-huh.
Clifton strengths, I definitely love that there's always a new challenge, but sometimes that's frustrating too. So it goes both ways.
Yeah, I think you have to really be willing to make mistakes. I used to coach a lot of authors, and my favorite and least favorite authors were the ones that were like, okay, my first book is ready, but I want to make sure I have everything right before I hit the publish button. And I'm like, yeah, that's impossible. Like you have to be willing to make mistakes and you have to be willing to learn from them. Like it's just not possible to do it all perfectly. Even if you do it all perfectly the first time, you probably did it by accident.
Yes.
And the second time around, you're going to be like, wait, I did the exact same thing and it didn't work. What happened?
As Becca Syme would say, Loki is in charge. And it
Yes.
doesn't matter if you do everything perfect 100% of the time because there's still a market in play. Like, that's the tough
Sure.
part of that is that you can do everything as right as you know how to do it and still not be as successful as you'd like. So,
Yeah, and there's just so many different factors that affect success. Not even like, and we're going to talk about this today. It's like knowing who you are as an author, because even the definition of success is very, very different. And even for me, like I find my definition of success from book one to book two to book three, it's completely different because I really like to use the analogy that like I'm pushing a boulder up a hill and then you get to a certain point and you have to let it roll down the hill, but it doesn't just go like shoo most of the
yeah.
time. That trademark, that shoo sound, not really, but
Sound effects make it better. I vote yes.
yeah, sound effects for the win. Yeah, but it just kind of like lobs down the hill and sometimes gets stuck in ruts and stuff like that.
Absolutely. And that rolls perfectly into our topic for today, which
Oh
is
gosh.
knowing who you are as an author and what advice to ignore,
Dun,
even
dun,
if it
dun.
includes us in
Yes,
parentheses.
yes, definitely if it includes us.
Okay,
But
so our
still listen.
first Okay, so our first point today is who are you as an author and why does it matter? Um, I think it matters for so many reasons.
Hmm.
If we go into who I am as an author, it touches every single part of who I am as a person too, and what my life looks like. I am a mom. I have young kids, two of them. I have a husband. I have a household that's always running around me, right? And with my help mostly.
Hmm. Sometimes.
um, I am not a fast writer. That is not part of my writer identity.
Fast in quotation marks,
Quote
please.
unquote. Yes, that's true. Everyone has a different barometer for fast, which is also
Yes.
fine. But in my own opinion, I am not a fast writer. My max speed is about 3 books per year. Well, why does that matter? Because I know that if someone comes over and says, hey, rapid release is the only way to be successful, that's
Right.
not going to work for me. That's
Right.
not going to work. So that's,
Yeah, for
anyway,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's a really good point because I also I can be a fast writer, quote unquote, when I write, but I'm not a consistent writer. I'm not a
Mm.
write everyday person. Like that advice was like the worst advice when I tried to force myself to write every single day, and they're like, well, you'll just get into a flow if you put a different shirt on and sit at your desk and do these five things. And I was like, that's not working for Jen. So that was one of the things that didn't work for me either. I actually write about 3 books a year, and I'm pretty happy with that because it allows me to take a couple of weeks in the summer, for example. I have a competitive swimmer in the house. My daughter's a competitive swimmer. It's intensely time consuming, not just for her, but for mothers as a support. I'll tell you, every time they do that commercial during the Olympics where it's like the mom doing all the laundry and waking the kid up and everything, I sob. I'm like, I know that feeling so well. Not that my kids at the Olympics, but I'm a part-time author. Like I can't compare myself or the advice I received to someone who does this full time because I work part-time. I am running the household and I have 2 kids that are very serious. I also have multiple sclerosis, and we're going to talk about that more as the series goes on. But literally, I can wake up one morning and not be able to get out of bed, like not be able to walk, not be able to type or think straight. It'll come to varying levels, varying degrees. So I have to be flexible about what advice I accept. But also knowing who I am as an author, I am a middle-aged woman and I want other middle-aged women to feel seen and empowered. That is who I am as an author. And so, quite frankly, I like to explore every piece of advice through does this work? You can say with my brand if you want to use corporate speech, but
Yeah.
also, like, is it part of my messaging? Like, does this support my goal to help human connections and help people feel connected and seen?
But I think one of the most beautiful things, not just about you as a person, but about this industry and our career is that you can still be successful exactly where you are. right? And
Mhm.
that's why defining success and what that means to you is so key because, like, even the two of us being great friends and knowing each other all this time, we have different definitions of what is success for
For
us,
sure.
right? You're
Yeah.
part-time, I'm full-time now.
Mhm.
I have 2 kids, you have 2 kids, but they're different ages. One's a
Yeah.
competitive swimmer, mine are in baseball. That's not the same level of time commitment, and it's never gonna
Yes.
be, and that's okay, you know? So, it's so personal and it's so individual, and I
Yeah.
think that is what a lot of people miss when they're trying to decide if advice is good or if advice is bad. Does it fit my life, right? Because the other thing is if you don't know what you're aiming for, you're going to miss it
Mhm.
every time. Like you
Yeah.
need to know, hey, I want to make 5K a month, 10K a month, 100K a month, like whatever it is. It's up
Mhm.
to you to decide what is that success metric and how do I know when I've hit it, right? And if you don't have that,
Yeah. Yeah, then you're just kind of floundering a little bit. And success
yeah,
metrics don't have to be just royalties based.
absolutely. That was the
That's
example that came to mind, but it could
yes,
be
and that's a
any.
wonderful example because
Yes.
most authors want to make money. Some of them are like, I just
Yeah.
want to get my book out there, but even they want to make money, right? I mean,
Yes.
maybe you want to be like a super high level, ultra famous author, or maybe you just want to support certain things within your house. But yeah, knowing who you are also means knowing what success metrics are going to define your decisions.
And I would back that all the way up, even to the point of, I just want to finish the first book. That
Mm,
can be success, right? If you
yeah,
have not finished the first book yet, then finishing a book is success if that is what your goal is.
yeah.
So I think it's so important not to let other people define that for you.
Absolutely. Somebody came up to me at Mardi Gras. I dance in a dance crew in Mardi Gras. I won't name it just for privacy, but oh, by the way, y'all, I'm in New Orleans and I like Mardi Gras. But he came up to me and he's like, I heard that you've written a book. And I was like, yeah, I've actually written 19 at this point. And he goes, I think I have a book in me. And he's like, but I don't know what to do with that. And I was like, that's what you do with it is you write the book that you think you have
Yeah.
in you. It's like the best place to start.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And I never knew before became an author how much other people wanted to write books. Like that wasn't
Yeah.
something I ever shared with people before I just sat down one day and started doing it.
Yeah.
And so it was a real surprise to me after I published the very first one, how many people were like, I've always wanted to write a book. And that was
Mhm.
just so unexpected, but awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome
Yeah.
and so easy to do.
You take that back, Jen. Let's
I
go.
take it back. Okay,
Okay. All
so
right. Bad advice we've received for
yeah,
us and how we were able to turn that around or what we did instead.
yeah.
I guess. Would you like to go first on this one?
Hey, sure. I am going to say I did talk earlier about write every day. And I really, when you posed this question to me, I really struggled because I was like, do I want to talk more about write every day, or do I want to talk more about one of my least favorite expressions, which is write to market?
Oh, that's one of
Um,
my favorite expressions. This is where the
that's
individuality is going to come in, but that's perfect. So go ahead.
because I'm going to say that a lot of people don't really understand what right to market means.
Mm.
And it doesn't necessarily mean writing to trend, right? So it's not like, oh, zombies are really popular right now, so I'm going to write a book about zombies and I'm writing to market. That's not really what it is. The truer definition of writing to market, in my opinion, is making sure that you're meeting reader expectations. And I think that that is what gets missed in that advice when people are like, well, you just find the market that's really popular and you write to it, and your book will instantly be a bestseller and yay, celebrate everything. But the truth is that there's a market for most books that are well written and professional. Now, finding some markets is harder than others. I will fully acknowledge that. But you don't necessarily have to write like what's popular or what's selling to make a good living or to be a successful author. Again, defining success however you success it. Um,
So
Go
I
ahead.
I could not agree with that more. And I
Ah,
want to add that I think part of the problem is that people expect every market is big enough to support them as an author. And that maybe you found a market, but it's a small market. right? Like,
Right. Which is kind of where I am. I mean, small is relative, right? But I write, it's called paranormal women's fiction, and it is like fantasy fiction, sometimes urban fantasy, sometimes more women's fiction-esque for women in their 40s and 50s going through a specific time period in their lives and everything that that entails with magic, which I dig because my problem with writing women's fiction was there was no magic. And I was like, I want to write these, but I didn't have the magic in it. So finding a genre that worked for me was awesome. But I also fully recognize that my genre is not for everybody, right? And
no genre is for everybody. And
yeah.
like, that's one of the earliest mistakes I hear brand new authors make is that
Hmm.
if you ask, like, hey, who is your audience or who do you think should read this book? And they say everyone.
Yeah.
It's never going to be the case. It doesn't matter how big of a best name or a big name bestseller you are,
Yeah.
everyone is never going to read it. You gotta know who you are talking to and who you're
Yeah.
reading to.
And if you're talking to yourself,
Mm,
like if you're writing the book that you want to read, that is not a bad thing. And sometimes they're
no.
like, don't write the book that you want to read, right? But it can be great, but then you also know that that's who you're marketing to are other people like you. And you have to be willing to analyze yourself in a way that isn't, I have these flaws or I'm this kind of person. You have to take a step back and look at yourself almost like if I were marketing to me, what would that look like?
Right. And like start thinking about demographics and other people who have similar interests and stuff like that. I think that's a
Yeah.
very good point. Yeah.
Yeah, but I can't stress enough with right to market that there is a difference between writing to trend or picking something that's popular and just writing the book you were going to write anyway, and understanding what reader expectations are within a specific genre, within a specific subgenre, all of that, and meeting reader expectations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very true.
So, what about you? Bad
Okay.
advice for you and how you flipped it.
Okay. So the bad advice for me, I also sort of mentioned earlier, which was the rapid release.
Mm,
I also have a chronic illness. Mine is not so severe as MS, but it still has a major impact on my life, and
yeah.
it's unpredictable, right? I
Yeah.
can't say from moment to moment if I'm going to have an issue or a flare up or whatever. So for me, the bad advice was twofold. One, you will never get momentum if you don't rapid release, and
Mhm,
two, readers will lose interest in your series if you don't release frequently enough.
mhm, mhm.
And I think part of the issue with that advice for me is that, well, who says what's frequently enough? Right? Like, who
Right.
gets to define that? I think it's me, for one. Part two being that trying to set myself up for an expectation that I already know I can't achieve
Mhm.
is a recipe for being disappointed in myself, being upset that I have missed these deadlines.
Yeah.
It's setting myself up for failure. And I
And
don't think advice is good if it's setting you up for failure with your personality or your real life circumstances.
yeah.
Yeah. So the way that I flipped that was I took a step back and I analyzed my actual life and my actual writing speed. And I said, okay, well, what am I capable of? Not just once, not just under the gun or with the time crunch and major stress. What am I capable of consistently over time? And for
Mhm.
me, that was about 4 to 6 months between books. And I think most people would agree that's not rapid release. Obviously, definitions change over time.
Right.
That puts me at 2 to 3 books a year.
Yeah.
And I just said, okay, well, if that is what I'm able to do, then I'm going to find a way to be successful with what I'm capable of doing sustainably. And I designed my pen name with that in mind. And I'm really open and transparent with my readers. Like I've put things in the back notes of books, like author notes and things that say, hey, I've seen those reviews saying you wish the books were coming sooner. And I so love that you're excited about the series. I'm excited about the series. I wish it was
Yeah.
coming sooner too.
Yeah.
But I have kids, I have a chronic illness. This is my speed. And I so appreciate you hanging in there with me and being excited with me.
But going back to reader expectations, though, that's exactly what you're doing, right? Like from the very first book, the readers knew that they were not going to get a book in 2 weeks. Like you told them from book one, book two comes out in 6 months. And so
Yes.
That's part of it is still helping your readers understand from the very beginning what they're going to get from you and then consistently delivering that.
Right. And I
Yeah.
think it's also important to note that my writing style is that I also am not an everyday writer, like you mentioned
Hmm.
that. And I think that's
Yeah.
important to normalize. Nope, I don't write every day either. But I'm thinking every day and I need that processing time in between. That's really important to me putting out a quality of book that I'm happy with.
Right. Right.
So even if I wrote it faster, they wouldn't be getting the book they think they're getting, you know?
Right.
And that's taken a long time to accept that.
Have you fully accepted it now?
I would say I'm like 95%.
Okay, I'll take
I'm going to give
95%.
myself a passing grade on that.
I love that. For a high competition person to accept 95% is a good thing. We'll take it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a work in progress and that's okay.
Yeah. I would say before we move on that the big thing about rapid release that I could never do personally is where the people write their books and then like they wait a year to release them, right? Because they're writing, however, maybe they are not quote unquote fast. They can only write 3 or 4 books a year. So they write them all 1 year and then wait a full year to release them.
Mm.
I can't do that. I can't. I want to share it and I would be too excited. I don't have the patience for that kind of mentality. I'm like, this book is I want it out there. I want everyone to have it. I can't do that if I wait a year. It's just not happening.
I'm the exact same. I have no chill when it comes to like, oh, I'm just going to sit on this book for 18 months. Because I have a friend who will sit on a book for 18 months after it's complete. And I am just like in awe of that level of self control because I don't have it.
Oh my gosh, if I ever had to write a sequel to that book, like I would not be able to tell you what was in it. Even my current series, when I started writing book two or book three, actually, it was book three, I had just finished book two and I had already forgotten parts of the ending that I had to implement in the next part of the book. And I'm a decent note taker, but I'm not the best note taker in the world. And yeah, if I had to wait 18 months, I wouldn't be able to tell you anything about it. Just whoosh, it's gone. It's left my brain.
So I have a massive mega spreadsheet with all of my
Mhm.
series details and character specifics and stuff like that that I use and I update religiously. Like I make
Yeah.
myself notes in the manuscript to go put this in the spreadsheet. I still forget stuff because
Yeah,
we are
exactly.
human.
I think we're gonna learn that April says there's a spreadsheet for that, like a lot. I have a spreadsheet for that. I
I,
actually I set up a Notion database for my story Bible, and I love it because it's much more visual and interactive than a spreadsheet. I know I'm excited to show that to you too. But you have to check it, right?
yeah. That's that's kind of the downfall of most technology is that you do have to actually remember to go look at it.
I'm like, and that's exactly what happened is I looked at it after I'd already written a couple of chapters and realized that I'd left a crucial piece of information out because it wasn't right at the front of my brain.
Yeah,
What are we
it's
gonna
like
do?
that sometimes. I don't know. The good
Yeah,
news is you can fix it.
yeah. I can fix it. That's true. That's what edits are for.
Absolutely.
All right. So
So,
how do you spot good advice? I'm gonna let you go first.
ooh, okay, excellent question. My answer is a feasibility check. Okay. So, does this fit my real life responsibilities? So, my job, if I have a job other than being an author, or if I'm a full-time author, I have other admin and other responsibilities that aren't just writing the book or whatever area the advice pertains to, right?
Yeah.
Does this fit in with my family obligations? Because I think for most of us, family and friend obligations are probably the biggest thing that tend to pull us away from writing. At least it has been for me. Medical needs, if you have them, or if someone in your family has them, right?
Yeah.
Because we are all human, and sometimes your mom calls and she needs you to help her out with something, or, whoever, great Uncle Steve, I don't know, whoever is
That
in
great
your
Uncle
family
Steve.
that's going to call, okay? Um, Next up, does this advice make me feel bad? Do I
Mm,
feel stressed? Do I feel like a failure? Do I feel incapable? Do I feel in some way negative about myself as a result of this advice?
mm,
Because, as Rachel Rogers says, which is one of my favorite things she says in her book, We Should All Be Millionaires, if the pants don't fit me, the problem is the pants, not me.
yeah.
And I think it goes for the advice too. If this advice doesn't fit me, the problem is not with me as a person. The problem is that that advice isn't a good fit. Okay.
Yeah.
And we can put those shorts down and go get some different shorts, and that's
Mhm.
acceptable. Number three is, does this advice fit into my strengths and what's a strong suit for me? So
Mm.
I love math and data and numbers and advertising. That is my strong suit. So if you give me the choice between being on social media and having to talk and respond off the cuff to people versus I can go look at orderly numbers in a spreadsheet, 100% of the time, I'm going to go for the spreadsheet because that's my comfort zone.
Right.
So is it fitting into something that you consider to be a strong suit of yours?
Yeah.
And then my last one is, does this advice actually get me closer to my goal?
Hmm.
Okay. Because if
Hmm.
advice sounds good on the surface, but it's actually leading you away from your own personal goal as an author, then it's not good advice, right? It's not good for you. Because let's say your advice or your goal is just to finish book one. That's a
Yeah.
huge milestone. And if
Mm.
this is advice for somebody who's already got 10 books down the road, you can file it away for later, but that's not for you yet. And it's
Right.
okay. So that's my few feasibility checklist.
I actually have on a little like post-it on my whiteboard right in front of me. You said it to me once, and it was filter every decision through what you are manifesting. And so
Oh,
I know you're really
I
good.
don't even remember saying that, Jen.
And it impacted me so much that I wrote it on a sticky. But that getting me closer to my personal goals, like that's one of the first questions I ask is, does this help me achieve my goals? I love your little checklist, but I'm going to get a little bit like touchy-feely about this, and I want to talk
Do
about
it.
fear because the first thing that I do when I get a piece of advice is I check in with how do I feel about it.
Mm.
And what I want to know is, am I afraid of it? And if I'm afraid of it, is it because it sounds hard and challenging or takes me outside of my comfort zone, which I would consider like necessarily good fears? Or is it because I know that it's not right for me? And yeah, this whole thing about knowing who you are as an author, it's also, yeah, see, got you back. It's knowing who you are as a person because your career should sustain who you are as an individual. And
Yeah.
so, like, as I've gotten to different levels and new opportunities have arisen, or I've gotten new pieces of advice, I question that initial overwhelm or that initial feeling that I get. Also, I tend to feel like if the person giving it to me is really excited and positive, I will also, for those of you who study Clifton Strengths or haven't, and if you haven't, please do. But I'm a high empathy person. So, like, I tend to pick up on energy in a room or energy when I'm talking to someone else. So, if they're really excited and really positive that something's going to work, I am immediately really excited and really positive about that thing until I step away from it and think about it and have to implement it. And that's when I have to step back and go, how did I feel about this? Did I feel this way because of the person?
Mm.
Or did I feel this way because it was right for me? And if it's also like I'm going, I don't know how I feel about this, I also want to question whether that is maybe a trauma response or a vulnerability or imposter syndrome, or if it's just overwhelming, right? Like if it's something like Facebook ads, which I put off for a very, very long time because they seemed really hard. And in my mind, it wasn't I'm going to learn these. In my mind, it was I don't know how to do them, therefore I'm not going to do them at all. And I had to like get past that point and move into a space of course I don't know how to do them because I'm not trying to do them. I have to learn, right? And I had to get into that space and be uncomfortable and be okay being uncomfortable.
Oh, I don't want to interrupt you. I just wanted to say that I completely agree. And I think so many people are unwilling to risk failing at something if
Yeah.
they're new at it, right? Like it's scary to fail, but I want to say to those people, we all feel that way.
Yeah.
Every single time I put out a new book, I am still afraid. Like it's just
Right.
it's part of the human experience, and it doesn't mean that that thing's necessarily not worth trying and failing at.
Yeah. I also think we should question the definition of failure because I think just
Oh,
because something doesn't go the way that I wanted it to, or I don't do it perfectly, that doesn't mean I failed because, I can build on that and learn
absolutely.
from it. It's because we're so afraid of this like mythical failure, which societally people equate with perfection. It's like you're either perfect or you failed, and that's not the case. Like there's so much space in between.
Especially in this industry, because
Yes.
I mean, you get so many new chances. I don't even want to call them second chances. I just
Yeah.
want to say you get a fresh page of paper, pick up your pen and try again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every hour. It's really kind of cool. It's
Okay, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, no,
Continue,
no, you're good.
continue.
My very last thing is because like I said, I get very excited about the person and a person could be very sure about something and not necessarily right. I have to sit back and question, is this coming from a credible source?
Yeah.
But also really important in this industry is did they have a name or a following before they implemented this new strategy? Because it matters, right? Like
It
advice.
matters so much.
Yeah, like the advice where I go like, oh, well, I did this thing and it worked for me would be great for book 19, right? When I already have a following. But if I'm a brand new author and I just wrote my first book and I'm like, oh, I'm going to invest in special editions and translations and all of these things that maybe aren't necessarily for me right now or may never be necessary for me, but also I have to question who I'm receiving the advice from and whether their platform, their existing platform is part of the reason that they are successful with that advice. It matters.
It does matter. And I would like to add to that
Mhm.
that some people don't know they're giving you bad advice for you.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I think most people who are giving advice mean really well, including
Mhm.
us, right? Like,
Yeah,
we want to help other people in this industry.
absolutely.
But without knowing a person's specific details, it's really hard to give blanket advice. So I would say, as the receiver, you can acknowledge the person as well meaning, but still
Mhm.
not agree with and end up following their advice to a T.
Yeah, and I think going back to it's either fear or perfection, I would question whether it's bad advice or maybe just not advice for you, which you've clarified before. Like maybe this is good advice for someone else or in another circumstance, and it's okay to say not right now or
Right.
never.
Right. That's true. Never is sometimes the answer.
No is a complete sentence. I'm talking to the
Yes.
ladies out there. Just saying.
Oh my gosh. No is a complete sentence. I agree with that. Um, I'm trying to think if we have anything else on spotting good advice. Oh, hello, kitty cat.
Oh, is my kitty saying hello? I think you
Yes.
just have kitty butt right now. Did she show
Oh,
her
I'm
face?
sorry. No, I just see like a white.
Yeah. One day she may show her face. Otherwise, you guys are just going to have kitty butt a lot.
Which kitty is this?
That's Butterfly. I have two cats, Butterfly and Freestyle, because we are a swim family. That is Butterfly. This is her favorite spot. In a couple of hours, Freestyle will come and steal it from her. That is our day.
Like good siblings
Like
do.
good siblings do. All right,
Oh,
girl, let's wrap up our
okay.
very first, but not very last episode with a tough
Love it.
love moment.
Okay, my tough love moment for today is that not all industry advice, and maybe even most industry advice, is not going to work for you. And that's actually a good thing.
Mm.
The important thing is knowing yourself well enough to know what to ignore, and a step further than that, to feel confident in the decision of not accepting all advice.
Yeah,
That's my tough love moment for today.
I love it. I'm going to go heavy on the love moment and I'm
Do
going
it.
to say be compassionate and knowledgeable about who you are. If you're questioning whether you should do something just because experts do it or because you've received advice, question why you think you should and question the why behind the why. Give yourself time. And I literally do this every day. It is how I start my day. It is how am I feeling mentally? How am I feeling physically? And how am I feeling emotionally? And that forms the basis for the choices I make in the day because I'd much rather have a day where I am compassionate and graceful with myself than a day where I push myself and end up feeling disappointed or like the advice was bad or the person giving it was bad or anything like that. So I would say just kind of check in with yourself and question those default thoughts that lead you to think, well, just because I received it, I have to do it. So that's not always the case.
Absolutely. Love it.
Yay.
Well, thank you guys all for listening or watching if you're on YouTube right now.
Yes.
As always, don't forget to like or subscribe wherever you consume your podcasts. We would happy to have you.
Yeah.
And that's all. Bye, y'all.
Bye, everybody. This episode and every episode this season was brought to you by our friends at Written Word Media, because marketing your book shouldn't feel harder than writing it. And check out the Written Word podcast. It's hosted by Ricky Woolman and Farrell Vernon. Lots of brains, even though their names are mouthfuls, behind Written Word. It's basically like eavesdropping on two publishing pros who actually know how to help authors grow. They drop episodes every other Tuesday, so go find the latest one wherever you get your podcasts, and obviously this one. Yeah, back to back. It's a good vibe. It is.